Great. A very good afternoon, everyone. And the next panel is here with us, which is going to be talking a lot about venues. So we have the two great players here, Devendra Parlikar from Saffron Schools and Mr. Sudhendu M. Pandit from Ocean Spray. So before I hand over the panel to Priyanka, who's going to be the moderator for this, I would like to quickly introduce Priyanka to you all. So Priyanka Ghai, who is the MC and the moderator for this panel, she is a warm and approachable anchor with a doors always open attitude. Her love towards events has made stay strong even after 6 years in the industry. She leaves her audiences pleasantly surprised with a friendly demeanor and innate charm. Her ability to be handling each and every event differently makes her the most sought after choice for the ones who have worked with her. I mean, thank you so much, Priyanka, for being here and moderating this panel. Definitely looking forward to hearing a lot more interesting things about the venues, the changes that's happening from the experts themselves who have been here. So the stage is all yours, Priyanka, and thank you once again, Mr. Sudhendu and Mr. Devendra Palulikar for being here.
Thank you, Shika. Thank you so much. Let me quickly take over, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to Espousal, the first ever Wedding Expo Day 2. I hope you've enjoyed the session so far and would continue to further on. Uh, I'm Priyanka, as Shika mentioned, an anchor and a moderator, and would ensure that you have a great time during this session. My esteemed panelists are all set to give us an expert view of all the factors related to the wedding venues. Let me quickly introduce you to them. Our first panelist is a gentleman who has been inspired to create an exquisite experience for all those looking for private celebration and a getaway with the warmth of luxury. This is made possible by Saffron Stays, founded by the dynamic Mr. Devendra Parulekar. Hearty welcome to you, sir.
Hi, thank you very much for the kind invitation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our second panelist has been associated with the best of the world, be it the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, Mumbai, Bengal, Kolkata, Taj West End, Bangalore, mainland China groups of restaurants, or the Chelsea Tower Hotel Apartments, Dubai. He has done it all. His entrepreneurial journey started with the beautiful property Bonjour Bihar Ocean Spray at Pondicherry, which has now become the dream destination for weddings. Welcoming Mr. Sudhendu Pandit. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. It's a pleasure to have you on board.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you very much for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here on this platform.
Absolutely. Let's quickly dive into the insights of a venue. And I want to start off with you, Mr. Devender. What are the strategic roles of a venue in a wedding today?
Uh, so to set the context, Saffron Stays as a company has been in the space of private vacation homes in the last 5 years. Only recently did we actually discover the true power of our homes as venues for some of these functions. In fact, we were blissfully unaware of the fact that we are actually sitting on such prime real estate where a lot of people who have been wanting to do these outdoor events, for example, a mehndi function or a sangeet function or a pre-wedding cocktail, or and there are very few venues in and around Mumbai and Pune which have these outdoors right there, right? And only in the last, in fact, COVID happened to be an accelerator for all or for this thought process, because by force or otherwise, we've been saying that okay, less than only 50 guests are now allowed, micro weddings are happening, micro events are happening. So gone are the days of the so-called five-star hotels in and holding a banquet function in the banquet hall, in a closed environment. Why not take them to an Alibag? Why not take them to Pavna Lake? And with the backdrop of a stunning lake or a stunning beach, have an open air party with just 50 guests of yours who are probably known to you, who are your real close people, rather than probably having that big fat Indian 1,000 plus wedding, which nobody likes. And that's where somebody like a Saffron Stays fits in, because we got what, more than 180 such venues within 2 hours driving distance from Mumbai and Pune. and that just makes it just magical for you to just step away from this conventional closeted banquet halls and escape into some of these magical backdrops. So yes, if I can use the word strategic, which is the word that you used, it's strategic enough to keep away all the pesky relatives that you don't want to see, and just have an intimate wedding with your close relatives and close friends.
That was a fun insight. I did not really discover this side of a lot of, the private association that we would have. Quickly moving on to Mr. Sudhendu. Let's understand what constitutes for a great collaboration between a planner and a venue.
Yeah, sure. You see, in my experience and understanding, there are probably five things which are important, or five aspects which can help create a great collaboration. Number one, and the most important one, is flexibility on part of the venue and its team. I think flexibility is the mantra, because for a wedding planner and the client, it basically helps them reduce rework and also reduces the stress, because I know when a wedding planner is involved, he is doing a tightrope walk. One side is the client, the other side is the hotel. Usually hotels tend to open a rule book, but I would say 10 rules and only one exception is the way to inspire a lot of friendship and relationship building. Second important thing is the amount or the quantum of initiative and enthusiasm displayed and demonstrated by the hotel team or the venue team, be it for getting local referrals for hiring or helping out the wedding planner to procure flowers locally, or a DG set, or stage hiring. I mean, the list is endless. I don't want
Yeah.
to get into the items. I think apart from the professional fee, I mean, the third thing is, I would say the third aspect is incentive. Now, yes, a wedding planner has his or her fee, call it travel agents commission, wedding planner commission, or whatever it is. But over and above that, small incentives, I think, go a long way, whether it is offering a free of cost room 1 day or 2 days before the event, when the event manager or the wedding planners core team comes in to get things moving. Another incentive is, early check-in, late check-out, adequate space for storing when the gear starts arriving from out of city. Like in case of Pondicherry, when we do a lot of weddings from Mumbai. I mean, yeah, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Rajkot, uh, Delhi. These are area. I mean, these are cities. So when the gear, whether it's sound and light gear or any other gear comes in, it usually comes 2 days before. Now, the ease with which we offer space for storage without any charge, I think it just takes off a lot of burden and thinking off the shoulders of the wedding planner. Of course, most importantly, how can we forget food? Food plays an extremely pivotal role in any Indian wedding, irrespective of which community it is. If the hotel agrees to provide, agrees that the client or the wedding planner can bring his or her own caterer, that is a huge plus. And it just helps the venue become more acceptable, more popular. Lastly, at the fifth point, I would say somewhere the price point. When I say price point, I'm talking about just one figure. You discuss everything, and instead of giving multiple figures, x rupees for room, y rupees for some venue, and then something else. If I give one price, this is what I will charge, and it includes everything. It just helps things move fast. It just assures the wedding planner also that, okay, if the price is acceptable, I don't need to worry. I don't need to worry about multiple bills and so on and so forth.
Absolutely right. I think you mentioned all the crux of what an event planner would already be looking at from a venue to promote it even more than it is already doing. Yeah, I mean, absolutely right. I agree.
Because I think
Um,
the first and foremost is the comfort level that the hotel team is able to inspire in the wedding planner, only then he will be able to uh,
Absolutely.
speak with confidence to the client or the eventual paymaster.
Absolutely. So there should be a yes from the side of venue to anything that event planner is actually pitching for. So that's a very important point that you shared, and I think collaboration is the word where we use in this session and in this scenario right now. Quickly
Yes.
moving on to Mr. Devender again. How is a micro wedding different from a big fat Indian wedding in terms of the user experience at a destination venue?
So, pre-COVID, we've done very, very few of these, right? Just about probably I can count on my fingers, as few as that, because it was never really top of the mind for Indians. Indians always wanted the so-called big fat Indian wedding, right? But what we've noticed is there are two audiences that typically come to us for micro weddings. One is the second shadis, okay, or the second weddings that happen, and
Okay.
people who are in their mid 30s, and probably these are their second weddings. This is probably and they don't want to have. They've been there, done that, thousand wedding, thousand plus people wedding. They want a quiet, intimate affair. And the other type of wedding is people who have probably come back from the US or wherever, and these are people who really have been influenced by the Western understanding of how a wedding should be. Yeah. And we notice that these are the two types of clientele who have so far been coming to us. But what is coming now is totally different. Okay. In the last probably 3 weeks itself, we've been inundated with requests from either wedding planners or directly our customers reaching out to us, who have realized that COVID-19 is not going to go anywhere. This is the de facto state of affairs for the next 2 years, and you can't keep postponing your wedding forever, so you need to have the small intimate wedding. And what we're noticing now is people have realized that November, December, it's better to block these homes now rather than come at the last minute. So all the planners have started reaching out to it. In fact, starting the probably 1st of September, most people have woken up and have started calling us. Even before that, people were still unsure. So what we're noticing is if weddings will still happen, they will take a central villa which has big lawns, which is by the beach, which is by the lake, and all the functions will happen probably there, and accommodation will happen for the 50 close relatives and friends in and around those homes, in some of the other homes. Okay, so that's the kind of thinking that. And I love what Mr. Pandit said. Most of these planners are coming and saying that, look, we would like to have flexibility on how the check-in happens, how the checkout happens. There needs to be gap before the check-in, 1 day gap after the checkout. We need to have the freedom and the flexibility to bring our own caterer, and we realize that we are not the experts. Um, have I frozen?
No, you're there.
Hello,
You're there. You're there.
Priyanka, are you able to hear me? Because my
Yes, I
screen
am.
is frozen. Okay,
Yes.
all right. And what I've realized is that we have not never been experts in the space of venues, right, for weddings. And now suddenly we are the flavor of the season for all the wedding planners to come to us. We've realized that it's better that we also become extremely flexible in our approach and become reliable partners to handle all the logistics, the stay, the DG set, the permissions, everything that is required, COVID safety procedures, and rather leave the expertise on decoration, leave the expertise on F&B, leave the expertise on the lighting and so on and so forth to the planner, than try and needlessly meddle there. So what are we good at? We are good at the core accommodation. We are good at providing beautiful venues, and that's a USP. So we might as well stick to that.
But sir, we are actually looking at, I mean, at least the hope is the COVID era ends very soon. So do you think the micro wedding still would be in trend after what COVID has done to us?
So what is going to happen is, micro weddings will probably in the next 1 year go away, but most people will realize that these are beautiful venues for pre-wedding functions. right? Where do you get the ability to have a Sangeet next to a glistening lake, right? With beautiful lighting. You in a city like Mumbai, maybe Bangalore has, maybe some of the other cities have, but a city like Mumbai is totally starved for options, right?
Yeah.
And if you just drive 1 hour away from Mumbai, you are in some absolutely stunning magical backdrops, and you will feel you are next to Lake Geneva, right? Unfortunately, we've not discovered these. Unfortunately, we've not pushed ourselves to actually take our families and friends to places like this. We are okay to take them to Switzerland, but we have not yet explored magical backdrops like Lake Pavna, which probably are 100 times better than doing all the tamjam of taking 1,000 people over to some foreign destination. So
Correct.
yeah, I think the moment will come. This is a decisive moment because people will get introduced to this concept forcibly, because they'll attend weddings of their friends or their relatives, and
Yeah.
they'll find, why not me? Even I want a magical wedding in and a little known secret, some of the most the rich and famous have already been doing it. It's just that it's not known. Yeah, the
Correct.
newer rich don't know. The rich and rich already are having their pre-wedding functions, cocktails, and sometimes even weddings in Pavna or in Kamshed or Mulshi or in Alibag by the beach. You and I don't know about it.
So the secret to a great wedding is, having a mix of the micro and the big fat Indian wedding, right?
So possibly, although I'm not a big fan of the big fat Indian wedding, but it makes money for a lot of my industry folks, so it's all welcome.
Yes, great, super. Moving on to Mr. Pandit again. Ocean Spray, as we know, is a very popular wedding destination. In your view, how important is it for a venue to be recognized as a wedding venue, and how does one go about making that happen?
Yes, Ocean Spray has fortunately been a very popular venue for the wedding, especially in the last 5 or 6 years. Uh, and I feel that if the venue, be it a hotel or a resort or a private wedding place, if the venue possesses the ability and versatility or some sort of advantage or uniqueness, it is only correct and worthy for the venue to publicize through whichever medium it deems fit. Needless to say, word of mouth is the most powerful medium to spread awareness and the efficiency of your resort or the wedding venue. How do you make it happen? I guess uh, there may not be a very standard approach or answer for that, but in my understanding and experience, I would say I've just made a list. I think if you are a wedding venue, it is very, very important to have at least 2 or 3 uh, employees who are wedding experts.
Hmm.
uh, they understand what is the operational aspect of the wedding. They understand what are the community practices, what are the customs a particular community follows by and large. Additionally, this team, the experts must also have a flair and genuine interest in the wedding as a segment, because it takes a lot of time to hear the final yes from the client. From the time, I'll tell you my experience of years, especially when you talk about a place like Ocean Spray, which is a destination wedding venue. From the time the client makes a telephonic booking or an email booking with us to block the venue till the time we get a confirmation with some token advance, it's usually 5 to 6 weeks. The major discussions only start thereafter. So
Correct.
number one is it is important to have 2 or 3 experts. Uh, I have over here in Ocean Spray, I'm very proud to say that I have one lady who's got nearly 12 years of experience. She deals only with weddings. I have a gentleman who's got about 20 years of experience. These are my 2 wedding experts. Between the two of them, they speak 7 languages,
Wow.
not counting Tamil. So that's a huge addition.
Yes.
Second is, I think the adaptability plays an extremely important role. Wedding planners or the prospective clients are happy and very relaxed when they hear a yes all the times, or instead of hearing a no, they hear a solution which may be slightly different than what they had imagined.
Correct.
Uh, So adaptability in discussion, in choosing the venue for Sangeet or Mehndi or Haldi or Varmala, the actual wedding, Bidai, down to rooming list. It plays a huge role. Now, third important role is played by a word called initiative, because your initiative creates comfort level not only with the wedding planners but also the clients, and it creates it helps to create a fabric of trust. Of course, under the new normal, good or great hygiene protocols will also add a huge amount of value, and it will just increase the possibility of your venue being chosen. I'll just give you an example. 2 years back, we had the entire resort was booked by a couple from Manipur. The girl was working in Mumbai in IT sector. The boy was working in Bangalore. Both were Manipuris, but they had lived in Bangalore and Mumbai respectively for probably 10 years. So they were quite extremely comfortable with English and Hindi. But when they came to discuss, and then they realized that their parents, their relatives are all coming from Manipur, they had an issue that how will they communicate if they want, they want to call housekeeping, they want something fresh, they want a sari to be somebody wants mineral water, etc., etc. So our wedding expert, he knew what to do. He immediately offered the services of a translator, basically two Manipuri girls who have been living in Pondicherry for the last 12, 13 years. They were also our ex-employees, and these two girls are familiar with Hindi, Tamil, and English, and of course Manipuri. So that just paved the way, and we were able to finalize the whole thing in, 3 or 4 hours. That's it.
Wow.
I mean, small things like these. It is not a SOP that hotels must know translators or hotels must have a list of database of people who speak 10 languages. But since the guy has worked in Pondicherry market for 20 years, and these Manipuri girls had also worked with us, he knew what the problem was. He had the solution. He offered it, no extra charge. It just solved the problem. Fourth item, I would say, again, the food plays an extremely important part. We allow outside catering. We allow the client to get their entire set of caterer. We don't even insist on choosing or going with our own decorator. We are absolutely flexible. The client can get his own caterer, own decorator. We have a separate kitchen for that, which makes the Gujarati or the Marwadi community very happy, because a separate kitchen means and by the way, in that kitchen we don't cook non-veg ever. Non-veg is never cooked because that kitchen is meant only for outside caterer. So when you allow this, it becomes a major factor influencing the overall likability of the resort or the wedding venue.
Absolutely.
And of course, small things like free upgrades, late checkout, early check-in. There's another factor which plays important role is the choice or the range of accommodation that you have. Because in a typical Indian wedding, irrespective of what community, I think there is 85% usually go into standard rooms. There is a 10 to 12% who are supposed to be occupying something called an executive suite or junior suite or a luxury suite, and there is 3 or 4% who need presidential suite or something which has got 2 or 3 bedrooms and stuff like that. So if the venue has accommodation which has 4 or 5 different categories, that also is a factor which can be in your favor. And like I said, at least I have learned in my experience over here, even with the Taj, that you quote one price, one figure, which includes everything, and that just relieves me as well as the client or the wedding planner of using a calculator too often, which is what we don't want. Because I think I know what is my margin. For example, Mr. Deven also must be knowing at what margin he would like to operate. He gets one figure, room, food, venue, blah blah, photography, everything included. Everybody goes home happy.
Absolutely. It's also living up to the expectation that they expected with the budget in mind.
also sorry. Also, I think at the end of it, when you do all this, you have a team of experts. You show a lot of initiative. You are flexible. You allow own catering. At the end of it, what does the client want? What does the wedding planner want? That the client or the wedding planner must experience and perceive that they are being pampered by the hotel team. The hotel team is genuinely putting its best foot forward and going out of the way with a whole lot of yes, a whole lot of yes, and being a part of problem solving, assuming that there is a problem, one or two here and there, that just gives the client a huge feeling of being pampered or being looked after in the best possible fashion.
I agree. I agree. I have been a resident at Ocean Spray, and I cannot really, deny any of the factors that you've said. They have been very cooperative. They've been very, very supportive in terms of how the wedding chaos actually happens and what needs to be done at the right time. Absolutely wonderful.
Cool.
But there is also the expectation that people come with, right? There is a budget in mind that we have for
Yes,
weddings.
absolutely.
Yeah, so there are a lot of consideration that go into when you are selecting their perfect venue. Let me quickly ask you, what are the things that a prospect should consider to have a perfect venue for their perfect wedding?
When you say, when you ask me what are the things that a prospect should consider, the
Yeah.
prospect means you're saying the client,
Yes.
the customer.
Yes.
Uh, you see, first and foremost, I think the prospect would like to see, feel, and experience the ambience and the uniqueness of the venue, because that also determines how much more he or she has to spend, either to enhance the beauty or create a character.
Correct.
So the overall everything, the landscape, the foliage, if at all foliage is there, the architectural layout, what kind of distancing is there? Does it have a main block and cottages, or is it all villa? How many open air venues? If the client is planning 4 major meals and 2 breakfasts, are 6 different venues available, or am I likely to be stuck with only 2 venues? Which means then he has to change the set and so on and so forth. So the ambience and the uniqueness of the venue plays a role to start with. Like I said, choice of accommodation comes number 2, because it is necessary for the client or the prospect to categorize customers into at least 3 categories by and large. I don't think there is an exception to that. So once you have that, one more anxiety is put to rest. Food, of course, the moment he hears that we allow that his caterer is allowed, I don't think he has any other question to ask when it comes to food, because he knows exactly whatever menu he had planned, whatever brief he had received from his wife before he stepped out to come to my hotel, it's all going to be fulfilled. The moment, yes, I think the third point is, in a place like ours, distance plays a role, because from Chennai we are 2 hours 20 minutes away. From Trichy and Madurai we are about 3.5 hours away. More importantly, since we do majority, 50% of our weddings are from outside of Tamil Nadu. We do about 41. Last 5 years record is we do an average of 41 weddings a year. Out of that, I would say about 20 are from some other states. So when somebody is flying out all the way from Baroda or Agra or Calcutta, logistics plays a lot of role in terms of distance and disembarking at Chennai airport and coming here. Consequently, if the wedding is from Trichy or Chennai, the number of cars that can be parked in our hotel also plays a role, because there are some people who come and stay here, but then there's a lot non-residential customers who are invited, who basically drive down from a Trichy or a Chennai just to attend the reception and go back. So distance is one thing, but I would say once the client has chosen Pondicherry as the city and then Ocean Spray as the wedding venue, distance is there. But by and large, when the parking is offered and when you go out to help them out with transport, give them referrals with who are trustworthy to carry out all the logistics, that also takes care of that. And Yes, like I said, if the moment the prospect knows that the hotel has someone who has familiarity with what are their customs, what are their practices, what works, what doesn't work, I think it is then just a matter of concluding the detailing and transactions. At the end, then the pricing becomes the last part, because he's already got confidence in terms of the uniqueness and the ambience of the place. He already knows, he or she knows what is the distance part of it, parking, the choice of accommodation. In our case, we have 6 different categories to offer. We've already said food plays a extremely important role. Either the hotel has the capacity to serve great food as per whichever community wants it, or the hotel allows outside catering, or the client's caterer to come. So once these four are addressed, pricing then just becomes one one figure heard, and I think it's by and large a full stop.
Yes, yes, that's a very good call on a big fat Indian wedding. Let's hear about a micro wedding as well. How and when should we look at booking the venues in the wedding preparation, and what all should be considered to get a clarity to avoid mismatch later? Mr. Deven, this is a question for you. Go ahead and please tell us.
See, our experience is fairly limited in this, and I must defer to what Mr. Pandit has been saying. He's done in one year they do 41 weddings in the venue. We've probably done no more than 10 in our entire existence of 4 years, and that's because we were never ever in the consideration set of most of the people who were looking for these kind of weddings. But now that we are, I have listened to every word of wisdom that Mr. Pandit gave, and I've copiously taken notes of everything that he has spoken. And I think I just want to, and I just want to add a few things that really tilt the balance today in our favor at this point of time. And I must say that this is my single biggest opportunity over the next 4 months, is the fact that the venues are smaller. The venues are nearer to a place like Mumbai, so you don't have to take a flight to go anywhere. A lot of the people who are getting married, who are from Mumbai and Pune, are desperate for these kind of venues, which give them the same experience that a Pondicherry wedding would probably give. But today, because of the various constraints that they have, they're probably not able to fly. So I must defer to every word of wisdom that came from Mr. Pandit. And at this point of time, I must tell you, and I also admit to you, that we are in the process of crafting our solution, and creating a solution which actually uniquely meets the requirement of our new customers or new people who have now stumbling upon us as a possible venue. And I would like to focus on the core thing that we do, which is providing good quality accommodation and hospitality. And everything else we would like to defer to a wedding planner or the caterer to manage, because that's their expertise, and we would like to lean on their expertise rather than create those centers of expertise within our setup. Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. So, Devin, you've been, the master of the micro wedding, and we have Mr. Pandit, who is the master of the big fat Indian wedding. I don't think Indians have a choice at this point of time, but to, address to the micro weddings as of now. But I really think there is a lot of that crunch in India who are craving for a big fat Indian wedding as soon as possible, because that's something which is very close to our heart, which is very, so because it's called the D-Day, it's called for a reason. We need that kind of glamour, we need that kind of the paparazzi, and I think big fat Indian wedding do a very very good justice to it. But not to demean anything which a micro wedding would have, it's an intimate, a very very close affair, which is probably the best feeling that a bride or a groom could have, because their close ones, the core group, is always with them, having the best feels of the world. So I think this is a great, insightful session that we've had. Thank you, gentlemen, for giving us or enlightening us a lot about the venues and what it takes to be and become a perfect choice for the clients and the prospects. I'm going to leave this panel discussion with a hope that all of you are sitting tight and enjoying the next up lined up sessions that we have for you. And let's have Shikha take over from now.
Great.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
indeed.
Priyanka.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
Mr.
sir.
Pandit and Mr. Parlekar.
Thank you
It
very
was
much.
amazing. And yes, we definitely did get to know all the insights of a big fat Indian wedding and an intimate wedding and how, different venues are taking up right now. So this was really insightful. And thank you, Priyanka, for doing a fabulous job at, moderating this entire session. Thank you,
Absolutely.
gentlemen, for being here. It's an honor to have you all on board.
Thank you so
Hoping
much.
to see
Pleasure
you
is
all
ours.
Thank
soon.
you so much. Pleasure is ours.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. All the best.